Bull, I'm the Ghost, and today we started the first top 5 for the worst episodes of the season. Today we're going to take a look to season 1. Let's see what didn't work for the show in this first year. Let's get in quickly, so it's faster. First of all, I don't hate this episode. The thing is, when comparing them with the entire season, this episode falls flat against some others. With that said, if I'm putting Rivet Pants in number 5, that's a sign this season is really strong overall. Rivet Pants is one of the most important episodes when it comes to debuts of incidental characters. Outside of that, it's just a beach episode with the lesson of how to use comedy correctly. The story is all about Spongebob making the same joke about him ripping his pants. Everyone gets tired of it and leaves Spongebob. After that, he sings a really good song, and the episode ends showing SpongeBob how to have friends. He only needs to be himself. Boom, episode ends. The story is now solved. This episode isn't that terrible or abysmal, but it's just kind of simple and lacking a bigger adventure. I just wish it was more interesting. That's the main issue with it. Probably the worst episode of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, and there are a few reasons for that. First of all, it doesn't paint the heroes as the best characters. It's also pretty slow overall, only bringing Dirty Bubble till the very end. It also just comes off after the first Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode, which is such a good one. But this episode is also a hero story, and it's more of a SpongeBob just being an obsessive fan and then being called out for. After that, he joins his heroes and causes chaos in the city, which isn't even that interesting, comparing it to something like Hall Monitor in the same season. This is barely even mischief, it's just SpongeBob upsetting some people. It does have positives, like some jokes and the beginning part, but after that, it's just a simple decent episode with not much to offer. At least it gave us Barnacle Boy supervision. That's pretty neat. The Chaperone is the first episode of many episodes where Pearl is a brat, then learns it wasn't okay to be a bratty teenager, and enjoys having fun with someone else. Now, to the Chaperone's credit, this was the introduction to Pearl, and as a character, Pearl works, but when you introduce other characters with such sublime episodes, the Chaperone falls short with this introduction. Instead of having a final key moment, or a character understanding moment, he uses a song, a subversive ending, and the chaperone goes away and leaves you with more questions than answers. Now, this episode has nice visual gags. The whole suit scene is perfect. But other than that moment, it's just a really subpar episode. At least it has one of the best scenes in the season. I swear, if it wasn't for the whole suit scene, this episode probably would be in number 2. Maybe, just maybe. Whoa, this episode. One of the weirdest episodes of the other seasons. I'll just recap this episode very quickly. SpongeBob and Patrick go to a convention, Squidward gets rid of them, then he doesn't feed Gary, Gary almost dies of starvation, but it wasn't starvation, it was dehydration. But before that, Squidward injected snail plasma to SpongeBob because a doctor told him to. SpongeBob turns to snail and begins harassing Squidward. Squidward injects plasma into himself, turns into a snail along with SpongeBob and Gary, and begins singing. Patrick hits him with a shoe, episode closes. That's it, that's the entire episode, there isn't much to it. It's an interesting episode, but the execution is bland. It's pretty simple and the tension never rises. Now, to its credit, there's never any unpleasant imagery, only the transforming scene. But as it is, also Teenage Gary is funny, and it has the weirdest plot of the season. Not sure if that's positive or negative, you can decide that for yourself. I first thought this episode was gonna be the worst episode of the season, but I changed my mind, because clearly, the worst episode of the season is, without a doubt, someone were expecting this. Maybe you were expecting something I mentioned previously. Maybe another episode that wasn't even on the list. Now, let me give my reason for jellyfishing, before you'll get mad and throw me arguments saying, oh, Squeaky Boots is so much worse. Oh, I was a teenager is so much worse. Oh, the chaperone is just bland. It's so much worse. I have a number of arguments against this episode, and let me tell you, because there are a lot. First of all, the episode has Spongebob and Patrick attempting to catch a jellyfish. Then Squidward is on his bike, really slowly, going back to him and a jellyfish, back to him and a jellyfish, back and back, then he gets distracted, falls down, gets injured, and this episode is pretty much the thing for season 4, but with jellyfishing involved. At least I think had an interesting twist with the whole animal control and escape part. But to put things into perspective, I'm giving credits to the thing. Yes, the thing! That is not a good sign. You should probably know that. We continue with SpongeBob and Patrick not being able to catch a jellyfish. They force Squidward to jellyfish against his will, and at the end, they get him even more injured. Now sure, Squidward got stung himself, but it was SpongeBob and Patrick's fault who kept him on the jellyfish kills. At the end, the three of them get injured and no one gets a happy ending. At least they also punished SpongeBob and Patrick, something future episodes forgot to do. This is the first episode where Squidward suffers for the sake of suffering. Well, it was probably Reef Lower, but this Reef Lower was funnier and shorter. This episode drags sometimes and becomes boring. At times they use animation or some jokes. Although it's still just a bad episode, it isn't terrible or abysmal, it just lands on the bad category of episodes. This shows how even the worst of season 1 is simply just bad. Good job season 1, just didn't reach the bottom of the barrel. Just let season 2 do that the next time. Yeah, you heard me. But if you want to see how season 2 reaches the bottom of the barrel, stick with me during these retrospectives, do what you want to do. The only thing I'm missing now is the top 10 episodes. This is the Game Regals, and I say, for next time we'll have a lot of F, U, and N.